June 4th, 1942. Somewhere in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the Japanese Navy, the most powerful in Asia, is sailing toward a tiny American island called Midway. They have more ships, more planes, and more experienced sailors. By every calculation, they should win easily. But they don't. What happens next becomes one of the greatest military upsets in history, and it changes the course of World War II forever. To understand Midway, you need a quick snapshot of the world. It's 6 months after Japan's surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. That attack destroyed much of the U.S. Pacific Fleet and pulled America into World War II. Japan has been on a winning streak, conquering the Philippines, Singapore, Hong Kong, and dozens of Pacific islands. They seem unstoppable. Their goal? Build a massive empire across the Pacific so large that America would eventually have to negotiate a peace deal instead of fighting back. Here's where America gets its first big advantage, and it has nothing to do with guns or planes. The U.S. Navy had a small team of codebreakers based in Hawaii, led by a brilliant officer named Commander Joseph Rockford. Their job? Break Japan's secret naval communication code, known as JN-25, after months of painstaking work. Rockford's team figured out that Japan was planning a major attack on a location they called AF. But what was AF? Here's where it gets clever. The Americans sent a fake radio message from Midway saying the island's water supply had broken down. A few days later, Japanese radio chatter mentioned that AF was running low on water. Bingo! AF was Midway. Admiral Chester Nimitz, the U.S. Pacific commander, now knew exactly where and roughly when Japan would attack. He immediately sent his 3 remaining aircraft carriers, the Enterprise, Hornet, and Yorktown, to set an ambush. Dawn breaks on June 4th, 1942. Japan launches the first wave, over 100 planes, to bomb Midway's airfields and defenses. The plan is to cripple the island so their ground troops can land and take over. Meanwhile, Admiral Nagumo, commanding Japan's carriers, holds a second wave of planes on deck, armed with torpedoes, ready to attack any American warships if they show up. He doesn't know the carriers are already out there, waiting. After the first bombing of Midway, Japanese pilots radio back, "We need to bomb it again. It's not destroyed yet." Now, Gumo makes a fateful decision. He orders a second wave of planes to be rearmed, swapping torpedoes for regular bombs to hit the island again. This takes time. And while his crews are scrambling on deck with planes being rearmed, an American scout plane finally spots the Japanese fleet. Now, Gumo then gets more bad news. American warships have been spotted, including, possibly, a carrier. Now he has to reverse the order again, rearm the planes with torpedoes to attack ships. The Japanese flight decks become a chaotic mess of half-armed aircraft, fuel lines, and bombs just sitting on the deck. American planes are already attacking, and at first, it's a disaster for the U.S. The first torpedo bomber squadrons fly low and slow. They're sitting ducks. Japanese Zero fighters tear them apart. Of 41 torpedo bombers, 35 are shot down. Almost no damage to Japan. But those brave Dune pilots did something crucial without knowing it. They pulled the Japanese fighter escorts down to low altitude, leaving the skies above the Japanese carriers wide open. At that exact moment, 3 squadrons of American dive bombers appear high above in just 5 minutes, roughly 10:22 to 10:27 a.m. American dive bombers drop their bombs on 3 Japanese carriers, the Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu. Each carrier is hit. Each carrier is set ablaze, the loose bombs and fuel on there. Decks cause massive explosions. All three sink that day. The fourth carrier, the Hiryu, strikes back, badly damaging the USS Yorktown. But by the end of the day, American planes find the Hiryu 2 and sink it. For Japanese fleet carriers, gone. In a single day, the numbers tell a staggering story. Japan lost, for aircraft carriers, 1 heavy cruiser, 248 aircraft, and over 3,000 men, including many of their best and most experienced pilots. The United States lost 1 aircraft carrier, the Yorktown, 1 destroyer, 150 aircraft, and around 300 men. Japan lost in for days what it would take years to rebuild if it ever could. The experienced pilots especially were irreplaceable. Training takes years. There simply weren't enough qualified replacements. Before Midway, Japan was on offense, expanding, attacking, winning. After Midway, Japan was on defense for the rest of the war. The balance of power in the Pacific shifted in 72 hours. The US could now start island hopping across the Pacific, taking back territory one island at a time, getting closer and closer to Japan. Military historians often call Midway the turning point of the Pacific War. Some call it the turning point of the entire Second World War. Without this victory, the road to defeating Japan would have been far longer, far bloodier, or perhaps impossible. Behind every battle are real people making impossible choices. Torpedo Squadron 8 flew into almost certain death. Not a single pilot survived from the original attack. Yet their sacrifice was not in vain. It opened the door for the dive bombers. Wade McCluskey, the dive bomber leader, was almost out of fuel when he spotted a lone Japanese destroyer moving at full speed, probably heading back to the fleet. He followed it. That hunch led his planes directly to the Japanese carriers on the Japanese side. Ordinary sailors fought fires with everything they had, knowing their ships were doomed. Midway wasn't just strategy and luck. It was thousands of individual moments of courage, sacrifice, and split-second decisions. So let's bring it all together. Japan came to Midway with the world's most powerful naval force, confident, prepared, and expecting an easy victory. America came with good intelligence, a little luck, and the courage of men who flew into danger knowing the odds were against them. And for days, the Pacific War flipped. Japan never launched another major offensive. The United States began its long march toward Tokyo. The Battle of Midway is a reminder that wars are not won only by the side with the most weapons. Sometimes they are won by the side that knows what is coming and has the guts to show up anyway. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more World War II history, explained simply.